The Bud 500. Bud 500, the Sears Die Hard starting lineup finds Bill Elliott on the pole, his first of the year, in the Coors Light Ford car number 9. Outside, row number 1, Rusty Wallace. In the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac, he won here in April. The second row is Darrell Waltrip, 11 times a winner here at Bristol in the Western Auto Chevrolet number 17. And his best start ever, Chad Little, outside of row number 2 in the Bullseye Ford number 19. The third row, Alan Kowicki in the Hooters Ford number 7, alongside Rookie of the Year candidate Bobby Hamilton in the Country Time Oldsmobile car number 68. Davey Allison starts inside row number 4. He's from Hueytown, Alabama, the Texaco Haviland Ford number 28, and Rick Mast in the Skoll Classic Oldsmobile car number 1. We take a look now at the rest of the starting lineup, and as you look through these, you will see what we referred to earlier tonight, that some of the top contenders in Winston Cup competition are back in the middle, if not the rear of the field. There's Dale Earnhardt starting from inside of row number 7. Rookie candidate Ted Musgrave is in row number 10. Ricky Rudd there in the 10th row. And the rest of the starting field, they will take 3 laps around this track for a warm-up, and then they'll be getting the green flag. The pace car leads them down the backstretch pits, and that is because the speed limit is 30 miles an hour on the pits here tonight. Now let's take a look at this racetrack they'll be competing on. It's 0.533 miles in length. The speed on the pole, 116.9, a time of 16.406 seconds. 500 laps is the length of our race tonight. And as Jerry indicated to you, the field is separated by less than a half second. Bristol International Raceway, there are pits on the front stretch and on the back stretch. Turn 2, a very important place to pass here at Bristol, and likewise coming out of turn number 4, you can pass. The banking, well, it's 36 degrees, the highest banks in all of Winston Cup racing in both turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And the straightaway, the front stretch, banked at 16 degrees, and likewise the back stretch is banked at 16 degrees. Let's go to Jerry Punch quickly.
Rusty Wallace slammed the wall about 2 hours ago in the final practice session, guys. They had to rebuild the right side of the car, ball joints, spindle, A-frames, put a new rear end housing into the car. A lot of question marks there in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac as to how the car will run. We're getting set for green, Bob.
Yes, we are. The pace car comes off the banking. The crowd on its feet, cheering and waving as the field comes down, led by Bill Elliott. The green is out. The Bud 500 is on. In 8th position at the moment. The field is led by Rusty Wallace as 2 laps are about to be completed. Elliott is second, followed by Waltrip, Kowicki, Allison, and Strickland.
Well, that problem on Rusty Wallace's car, they seem to have had it fixed pretty good, Bob. He jumped out to lead them from the outside. That's pretty impressive. But they're going to have an inside groove here for quite a while on this racetrack.
Let's point out there has been no practice since Rusty Wallace hit the wall. They had to fix all these things that Jerry Punch was talking about and set the car up cold with no practice.
Wallace leading Elliott into turn 3 once again.
As we watch Rusty Wallace and Bill Elliott go down in turn 1, we see the white line on the inside. Underneath that white line is apron. You really can't tell it. Now you can from looking inside Dale Jarrett's car. It's flat down there, and as Bob said, the bank's 35 degrees, so you got to run up above that white line to catch benefit of the bank.
Great shot from the Citro Ford driven by Dale Jarrett, last week's winner at Michigan International Speedway on the 2-mile racetrack. This is only a half-mile here tonight, but one of, if not the most demanding track on the entire circuit. Ernie Irvin, we're inside his Kodak Film Chevrolet. He started way back in the pack and is trying to make his way up through the traffic. Ahead of him, Harry Gant there at number 33. That's Ted Musgrave up on the outside of the track ahead of Harry Gant.
Musgrave got back to the inside as quick as he could, too. He knows the outside is not a place to be, but he moves up again, and here comes Gant and Urban both going by. Boy, you don't have to slip much. You get up in that second groove, and they're going to go by you.
As the night wears on, that groove will move up the racetrack, and the cars will be able to race side by side. But right now, That bottom of the racetrack is where you have to be.
Phillips 66 in-car camera here from Lake Speed Machine looking back on Dave Marcus in car number 71. Tire smoke already seen from Dave Marcus's car.
You see quite a bit of tire smoke on this racetrack, Bob, because they dive so hard into these high banks. Puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the tires. And, of course, when they accelerate off the turns, there's a lot of side pressure as well. A lot of moving around on the track.
Lake running in 21st position and Dave Marcus in 22nd. But look how close they come.
And we saw sparks fly to the back of Lake Speed's car as he went down in turn 3. The car bottomed out, hit the racetrack, and that's where the sparks came from.
Starting this many cars on a half-mile racetrack, it's not going to take long for the leaders to catch up to those who are running at the back of the pack. And that's why we may see some lapping here within a few laps if we continue to go green.
Yeah, oh, there we see some heavy smoke in that 71 car that time.
That might have been a little bit more than tire smoke, fellas. We say that Harry Gant is complaining about oil, and it might be coming from the overflow, maybe, of the Dave Marcus car.
And we already see some oil on the windshield of Ernie Irvin's car. This is looking out. The windshield of Ernie Irvin's car.
That's something you don't want on this racetrack is oil to make it slicker than it already is. They did put sealer on this track. Dave Marcus has just received a black flag. You don't want to get any oil down. They did put sealer on this racetrack once again. And it is a very narrow groove that they work with here in the early going. Dave Marcus has slowed his car down the backstretch.
I believe he missed his pits back there, Bob. He was coming out.
Oh, and a spin over in turn 3.
Richard Petty spins around in the STP Pontiac, a complete 360. He keeps going. The field is coming around. He's going to have to hurry to the start-finish line or he'll go a lap down. The leader's coming by, and he makes it.
No yellow, so we're staying under green conditions. And Rusty thought that there was, and he let off, and now everybody goes around him. He's dropped back to 5th spot.
And so did Bill Elliott. Thought there was a caution flag. He backed off, and he's back to about 7th spot.
Yeah.
Darrell Waldrop has taken the lead. There was some confusion there because many drivers saw Richard Petty spin and they thought there was going to be yellow. They backed off and there was no yellow at all.
I think Rusty Wallace saw his fellow Pontiac driver there in trouble and rather than race down to the start-finish line to put him a lap down, and then the caution was not there, so his good deed turned into loss of a lot of positions.
Now Richard Petty goes a lap down. Oh, and Alan Kowicki is sideways but saves it.
He was trying to go follow Rusty Wallace Darrell Waldrop by Richard Petty and got the car sideways going in turn 1.
Looked like he was on dirt. Did a nice job of saving it, but boy, is he falling back.
Yeah, he got him that outside and really losing a lot of positions. Let's take a look again.
There we see Darrell and Richard almost get together, and Richard Petty came down the hill, and Kowicki's almost spun.
Our number 68. The rookie, Bobby Hamilton, having some sort of a problem. He's in the pits in an unscheduled pit stop.
The leader is Darrell Waldrop as he got the advantage when Richard Petty spun and Rusty Wallace backed off the throttle. There's Bobby Hamilton that brought the Country Time Oldsmobile in for early service. They're changing the tires on the right side of that car as we remain under green flag conditions.
Boy, it's tough to make a green flag pit stop on this racetrack because they go around about 17 seconds and you lose a lot of time. We understand the Dave Marcus. We saw him black flag went into pits and it was a water leak instead of an oil leak.
And so Darrell Waldrop has the advantage now with 21 laps completed over Davey Allison and Rusty Wallace, who has moved up to 3rd position. Running 4th at the moment, Hut Strickland, followed by Bill Elliott. Now, we do have a right guard halfway challenge in tonight's race. At the halfway point, the driver leading to win $10,000, and you could win a new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. Dial 1-900-737-1100 between now and the halfway point to register. And if you're called back and you know who was leading at the halfway point, you will win a new Pontiac Grand Prix. They're the top 5 with 22 out of 500 laps completed at the Bud 500. We'll be back with more right after this.